It's time for a little comedy, a little content, and a lot of conversation. It's the Geno Jones Show, exclusively right here on YouTube. And now here's your host, Geno Jones.
Hey, what's happening? Showtime, everybody. I am back, the Geno Jones Show. So I come to you live Monday through Friday. Normal start time is 6:30 p.m. Eastern. Now it could change depending on the circumstances. Please subscribe to the Geno Jones Show YouTube channel. Subscribe, share, like, and binge watch all of my back episodes. Make sure you do that, okay? And tell everybody you know, everybody, your friends, your family, your co-workers, your church members, your fraternity and sorority brothers and sisters, the Masons, the Eastern Stars, club members, strangers, aliens, folks you don't like, folks you can't stand at all, strangers, aliens from outer space, tell them all. This is must-see TV. Yes, it is, the Geno Jones Show. So, all right, let's just jump right into it. All right, you know what? I want to start off the show. Let me get this out the way. I'm just off the top. Because I didn't get a chance to get in his ass the other day. So, full disclosure, I'm generally a fan of Bill Maher. For a long time, like I would not miss an episode. I'd tape it. If I didn't see it live, I'd come home after an appearance or performance, and I would check out Real Time with Bill Maher. So I've been a fan of Bill Maher, but, you know, Bill has been problematic for a minute. He has. So let me just get right into it. So over the weekend, Friday night, because believe he still comes on Friday night, and then they do like this after show on CNN, which is kind of interesting, which is another story, and they fired Don Lemon, which is, for the record, CNN has now become Fox News Light or fake news, because Fox News just had to pay about $800 billion to the Dominion Voting Systems Company. I talked about that. So really, CNN is they get rid of all the black folks. Now they got the sister on Sunday, very talented. They have my girl Laura Coates on, that was on like the time slot that Don Lemon was on. So they gave that show to somebody else. So to me, it's pretty clear that CNN is becoming Fox News Light, MAGA Light. See, who would have thought CNN is becoming MAGA Light? I digress. Let me get back to Bill Maher, because he's about to get this smoke today. And make sure you send this show to Bill Maher, okay? Email it to him, copy and paste the link, text it to him. I'd love to have this conversation. Hell, he can have me come on his show, and I'll have the debate with him. I'd love to have him come on this show, and we can have this conversation. So basically, Bill Maher was talking about, why young black men in Chicago are killing each other, and why aren't black celebrities speaking out? Okay, now I don't know if he had specific big black celebrities in terms of popularity. I'm paraphrasing. How come some of the big black celebrities are not speaking out? So I don't know if he was referring to Kanye. I don't know if he was throwing shade at Common or Jennifer Hudson. But first of all, I think even when Kanye was in his half-right mind, he, at a minute, kind of spoke out against, violence. But then after he went MAGA, so we're going to just put Kanye over here. And we're going to pray for Kanye. So I don't know who Bill Maher was really referring to, if he was referring to, because the way it came across, I could be wrong. But let's just deal with black celebrities. Many black celebrities have talked about, crime in all cities. First of all, Bill Maher, black people predominantly kill black people. And guess what? White people, and your ass knows this, white people predominantly kill white people. Roughly 8 out of 10 white people that are murdered are killed close, it's almost 9 out of 10. It's like 8, but we can round it off. 8 out of 10 white people kill other white people. 9 out of 10, roughly, black people kill black people. So murders, basically, is based on like proximity to people who live around you, who are in your community, in your neighborhood, tend to be the ones that you victimize. That's not my opinion. That's facts. You got writers and you got a team. So y'all ass can research that if you really want to get the accurate facts. Okay? So miss me with that bullshit narrative of black on black crime. Well, first of all, that was just a term created to just kind of demonize black folks. How come you never hear about white on white crime? You know, when the kids way back in the day went and shot up Columbine and the crazy fool in Colorado that shot up the movie theater, and the white dude that shot up and killed all those people in Vegas at a country music concert. You never hear, oh, there's so much, because there's a bunch of white on white crime, but the media, they don't brand it and label it that way, because the media is part of demonizing black people in general. It's just a fact. I'm just giving it to you straight. I'm just cutting out all the bullshit. And people know this, and Bill Maher knows this. I get it. But let's talk about this thing. So, on the subject of white on white crime, Bill Maher, how come white people are not speaking out? How come white celebrities are not speaking out about white people who are shooting unarmed black and white teenage boys and girls? You had the white dude that was in upstate New York. He shot and killed a white girl in a car. Her friends, they went to the wrong house apparently. They were turning around. They never got out of the car. The car turned around in the guy's driveway and was driving off, and he shoots at this car. You would threaten how? By people who were in your driveway and then turned around and were driving off, and you shot at the car while the car was driving off. Some kind of threat. And you killed this young white girl. I didn't hear Bill Maher say, oh, this white on white crime is terrible. It is terrible. There's so many instances of white people killing other white people, and I don't hear white people complaining about it. But recently you've had these angry old white dudes killing, black and white teenage boys and girls. I hear you say, I haven't, maybe you have, Bill, I just haven't heard it. I haven't heard it. So maybe you're not saying it loud enough. Maybe you're not saying it enough. I haven't heard other big name white celebrities. I never heard Tom Brady speak out about nothing like this. Who? You named a big white celebrity. Brad Pitt, Gwyneth Paltrow. Maybe I'm dating myself. I don't know. Just name one. Hadn't heard it. Haven't heard it. So now, if you really want to know what's going on in Chicago, talk to somebody who was born and raised on the south side of Chicago in a neighborhood called Inglewood that has changed a lot dramatically. A neighborhood that has been completely neglected, disinvested in for decades now. A neighborhood that when my mother was a child, my grandparents were like the first black people that lived on their block on 59th and Troop. Then they moved like across the alley, one block, that would be one block east to 59th and Elizabeth. So when I was over there in the late 60s, early mid 70s, we had a principal that lived across the street. We had doctors that lived in the neighborhood. We had business owners. There was a principal. I'll never forget. There was a principal that lived across the street. Like I said, we had business owners. So you had working middle class black families that lived in that neighborhood. Then eventually a lot of them moved They would move out a little further south, and then people from the west side back in the day who necessarily didn't have a lot of money, neighborhood changed, the whole social economic mix changed. And then what also happened is that, like, there was something called a tent factory. Literally, that was on the corner of my block. They built tents. So you had all kind of manufacturing companies. All those companies dried up, moved plants. So these neighborhoods have been disinvested in. The schools, the elementary school that I went to from K to 8th grade, they closed it down. Completely closed it down. When I was a kid, the Chicago Park District, the city of Chicago, through the Chicago Park District, summer jobs. Every summer, you could get a job as a lifeguard. You could get a job working for what they call streets and sanitation. They'd probably have you picking up trash. But you could get all kind of jobs, like being like chaperone for kids, playing in the park. They had all type of jobs for young people. You had, like, I worked at a record store that was on another corner when I was like, 13, 14? So there were small business owners that could survive then. But now, many job opportunities are not there. Companies that could be opening up businesses. You've had Walmart that had a huge store in the south side of Chicago, around 84th, not too far from the Dan Ryan, close to Vincent's, basically on the south side of Chicago. You had a Whole Foods in my old neighborhood, Inglewood, 63rd and Halsted. That closed down. They closed a Walmart down on the south side. Actually, they closed two on the south side of Chicago. One around 47th and Cottage Grove, that's not that far from Hyde Park, where Barack and Michelle's home is, and where I lived for about 8 or 9 years after we left Inglewood. Another one a little further out south. One on the west side, I believe, maybe in Austin, from where the current mayor, Mayor Johnson, who's from the west side, the Austin neighborhood. So no support for black entrepreneurs, their corporate partners. A lot of these corporations, you know what they could do? They could partner with the schools and create all kind of, like, not just mentorship, but like paid internship programs, apprenticeship programs to teach kids how to do whatever. My old high school was a vocational high school. They had one of the best, they probably got the best high school aviation department in the country. As a matter of fact, there's a kid about a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago, was still in high school, a junior in high school, got his pilot's license at Dunbar. It was Dunbar Vocational High School. It was like Dunbar Career Academy. So, Bill Maher, if you want to know why, since you ain't concerned about why, there's so much white on white crime and why white people are shooting white people and black people and Hispanic people. So let's talk about that, because some of the same reasons, trauma, lack of mental health, drug addiction. Now, for years, the crack epidemic. So we wanted to criminalize black folks that was on crack, put them in jail. But now you got an opioid problem, fentanyl, and the majority of overdoses from opioids have been white kids in rural neighborhoods, in rural communities, and in the suburbs. Now, all of a sudden, now it's a problem. No, we can't criminalize it. It's a disease. They need treatment. We need to make sure they get treatment and help, and maybe give them some, if they OD, give them some Narcan and give them some medicine that can save their life. But you weren't doing that for black folks that were addicted to crack. You were locking their ass up and calling them criminals. But now, you don't call opioid addicts criminals. You say they have a disease and they need help. So the hypocrisy and the bullshit. So, Bill Maher, if you're really that concerned about why black folks, and wait a minute, hold on, I got to talk about something else. Let's talk about all the states that surround Illinois, Indiana to the east, Iowa to the west, Missouri to the south, even a little part of Kentucky to the south, where they have all these relaxed gun laws, where basically anybody can get any kind of gun without any license or any permit, no background check, and all those weapons come into Chicago and are sold in Chicago. Because Chicago has some very tight gun laws. You ain't gonna just walk up in a bar. You can't take guns in nightclubs in Chicago. You ain't gonna just be walking down the street with an AR-15 in Chicago. You're just not gonna be doing that. You're not gonna be walking through O'Hare Airport, well, even though they ain't gonna let you, if you try to take a gun in the airport, they'll definitely lock your ass up. But you just can't, you're not gonna be taking a gun in a church in Chicago. But weapons for decades have just flowed in from all these other states who got these really relaxed, reckless gun laws. So when you have communities like my old neighborhood in Inglewood, to where they have been completely abandoned and neglected, how about eliminating student debt and medical debt? How about Walmart open those stores back up? Open that store back up out there on 84th Street around Vincennes. Open that store back up on 47th, right around 47th and Cottage Grove. Whole Foods, why really did you have to close that? As much money as Whole Foods is making, and God knows as much money as the Walton family have. And miss me with, well, the stores are losing money. So maybe the store is not making as much money as it would make in Lincoln Park. But if you were really a good corporate partner and really were concerned about community and really helping to improve the community and make opportunities better, you wouldn't have closed those stores down. You didn't have to close those stores. Them stores weren't losing that much money that was really affecting the bottom line. Really? Do you think two Walmart stores on the south side of Chicago and one on the west side was putting the whole Walton empire, Walmart and Sam's Club, somehow it was causing them to lose so much money? It's like, oh my God, we're going to go out of business. Stop it. That's bullshit. They'll tell you that. My grandfather said people do what they want to do when they want to do it bad enough. So these stores really, they did not have the best interest of the community at hand. There's a store called Mariano's. It's like another version, kind of like Whole Foods. 4 or 5 blocks from my mother's house. Still all black neighborhood. There's some gentrification, but there's still some hood there too. Mariano's is doing great. There's a Jewel right around the corner from my mother's house. Supermarket, legendary supermarket, been around for a long time. So Whole Foods didn't have to. They weren't facing bankruptcy as a company if they would have continued to kept that Whole Foods store open, knowing what it meant to that community, which is why it was open in the first place. Or those 2 Walmarts on the south side, on 47th and Cottage and 84th around Vincennes, and the one out there in Austin. Them stores were not losing so much money the way it was going to cause them, Walmart, the Walton family, to go bankrupt. How much money were you expecting? Listen, you do what you want to do when you want to do it bad enough. So Bill Maher, miss me. Listen, man, you want to talk about creating job opportunities, not just for the young people, but for their parents. You want to talk about making sure that they have, because you're talking about, well, you're just throwing money at the problem. Well, you're throwing money at the wrong people. So you don't trust the people in those communities You don't trust them with the money because you figure your attitude, well, these black folks, they're going to be stealing the money and embezzling. When you had white people and white companies steal and embezzle money, embezzlement and theft is not race specific. You've had embezzlers of every race, gender, and ethnicity. Folks that have embezzled and stole from companies and nonprofits that have been black, white, Hispanic, Asian, you name it. But you don't trust these brothers and sisters, these violence interrupters, and people. You've got great nonprofits on the south and west side of Chicago who have the credibility and the gravitas, the trust with the brothers and the sisters, the gangbangers, that can at least reach them on their level and speak their language. And if you gave these gangbangers, and the majority of them are not gangbangers anyway. It's only really a handful of hardcore gangbangers on the south and west side that's really causing a lot of violence. A lot of these kids are just, they don't feel they have any opportunities. They have no hope. A lot of them are dealing with trauma. Hell, a lot of them are coming from families that are dealing with trauma. It's never been addressed. Schools that's not reaching them where they are, that's not giving them the skills that they need for the 21st century. After school programs, opportunity to get jobs, and the jobs that they get, a living wage, $15 an hour, that's just a start. Really, $19, $20 an hour should be the minimum wage. I guarantee you, the more opportunity, even back in the day, I knew some, quote unquote, some of the thugs that got summer jobs. They went out there thugging. They was buying new clothes. They was taking their girls to the movies. They was like proud because they had money and they had a sense of pride. And that's what job opportunities. There are a lot of great entrepreneurs right there in Inglewood, in Austin, out there in Roseland, in Austin, West Lawndale, South Shore, so many neighborhoods in Chicago, Auburn, Gresham. They don't have access to capital to open up a small business and maybe open up a joint where they can, sell catfish and fried chicken or Jamaican cuisine or Creole cuisine or whatever. Invest in these communities and invest in the people who are putting in the work, who have been putting in the work right there, just out there in them streets, as they say. The kids say, out there in them streets, has got receipts from the people in the hood that would trust them, that know that these people are emotionally invested into these people. So it's easy to sit back and talk about, well, how come celebrities are not doing it? Well, how come these elected politicians are not investing? They spend more money on prisons than they do in schools and after-school programs where kids could play sports and they could learn how to code and get, now, this AI technology, all these companies could start training kids in middle school and high school and giving them the skills for this AI technology, artificial intelligence. It's going to be the future. And stuff like coding, and along with other professions that make a lot of money, like electricians and carpenters and welders and auto mechanics, because college is not for everybody. And like I said, make sure that there are grants available for people who want to be entrepreneurs and open up businesses that would hire these young brothers and sisters and get them off the street. And maybe make sports like baseball a lot more affordable. Now with these travel teams, I got a nephew. I mean, hell, you need to be a two-parent household. Having a kid play travel baseball is like sending a kid to a private school. Well, back in the day, we didn't have no travel team. A bunch of us got together, and we would go to Ogden Park and play, or Sherman Park and play, or dudes would come over to our neighborhood and play. You didn't have that. Make it affordable and create the opportunities, the financial support, the mental health support to deal with, and like I said, to eliminate and support the families. Make sure that the single moms or single dads can have affordable child care, that they can get health care so they can go to their doctor. And if they're dealing with anxiety disorder or depression or suicidal, any kind of mental illness, that they can go seek professional help. Man, so many of our young people are dealing with anxiety. Hell, so many grown folks are dealing with anxiety and depression and contemplating suicide. So all that has to do with what's happening in Inglewood and in Chicago with black folks, Bill Maher. But guess what? It's the same thing that's happening to young white kids in these rural areas and these suburban areas. But y'all don't want to talk about that. So miss me. So when I see you really investing some money, as a matter of fact, I invite you to come on. I'll meet you in Chicago. How about that? I'll take you to Inglewood. I'll take you to my old house where the first 17 years of my life I lived at. 5932 South Elizabeth, which is, well, as of last time I was home, it was it's abandoned now. All right, and I can show you right around the corner, 6010 Troop. Used to be Nicholas Copernicus Elementary School. But that's closed now. And maybe bring some money, get some of your friends to bring some money, invest into some entrepreneurs. Let's partner up with this new mayor and get some corporations to put some money together and partner up with the public high schools to create paid internships and mentorships and entry-level jobs for these high school and college kids. You got all these junior colleges in Chicago, and make sure that we can eliminate some of that student debt. Trust me, I know, because my family, we got a junior in college. The oldest still got student debt, and quiet as kept. My wife still got some student debt. So that would be another big, and get the MAGA crowd to stop blocking that. Just like they're trying to block people from having affordable health care and child care. And preschool, real preschool. Not like nursery, have like your daycare centers, but have like real preschool. So kids can start learning like when they're 3. Okay, man, I'm done. All right. But just for the record, let me, before I'm going to wrap something up real quick, because I spent so much time with Bill Maher's ass. Let's talk about the cities with the highest murder rate, Bill Maher. Guess what city does not have the high? Guess what city it is, which is not even in the top 15. This I know for a fact because I got the receipts. I did my own research. Chicago, a city that you claim is so violent, is not even in the top 15 of cities with the highest murder rate. Now, St. Louis is number 1. Baltimore is number 2. San Juan, Puerto Rico is number 3. But let's talk about the states. Oh, here we go. Oh, here we go. It's about to get good now, Bill. You should do a show and ask why so many white people killing white people in Mississippi and Louisiana and Alabama and Missouri and Arkansas and even in this state right here, South Carolina and Tennessee. Those states I just mentioned in order are the top 10 states with the highest murder rate. Mississippi, number 1. Louisiana, number 2. Alabama number 3, Missouri number 4, Arkansas number 5, South Carolina number 6, Tennessee number 7. There's a lot of white folks that's killing other white folks. A lot of white folks being shot and killed by other white folks in all those states. How come I don't see white celebrities talking about that? Bingo. Happy birthday, NBA legend, 5-time NBA champion, Tim Duncan of the San Antonio Spurs, 47 today. Shout out to all my Tauruses. Tauruses, it's our time to shine. Also, happy birthday today, actress Gina Torres. So you saw her in The Matrix Revolution and The Matrix Reloaded. Or actually, The Matrix Reloaded. You had The Matrix Reloaded, and The Matrix Revolution. That was like, and then this last one they released, which they really could have kept that one. So she was in The Matrix Reloaded and The Matrix Revolutions. 54 today. Happy birthday, Gina Torres. Happy heavenly birthday to a icon, a vocal legend, no longer with us. She's among the ancestors. Happy heavenly birthday to Ella Fitzgerald. Google Ella Fitzgerald. One of the most iconic voices and singers ever. So for my millennial Gen Zers, just Google Ella Fitzgerald. You're on YouTube, just search Ella Fitzgerald videos. You'll see why she was such a legend and so iconic. So she was born on this day in 1917. And she joined the ancestors back in 1996. Speaking of joining the ancestors, rest in peace, power and paradise to a man. He was a legendary performer. He was as big as back in the early 60s. This man was as big as any performer, as a singer and an actor. But he would tell you that he was an activist that became an actor, not an actor that became an activist. A man who personally bankrolled and got his wealthy white celebrity friends, legends, icons to donate and raise money with him to basically fund and front financially the civil rights movement and to get all the civil rights leaders out of jail like Dr. King and all the protesters that were marching for civil rights. I'm talking about Harry Belafonte. He was 96. Rest in peace, power and paradise. Harry Belafonte, who got people like Frank Sinatra and Marlon Brando and Lena Horne to basically raise money, large amounts of money, like fast, to bail out all your civil rights leaders like Dr. King when he was in that jail in Birmingham, and to fund the movement to be able to give like the I Have a Dream speech that was, in Washington, D.C. in 1963. Well, the money behind that was Harry Belafonte and his rich white and black celebrity friends. And he put up a lot of money, a lot of his own money. He, Aretha Franklin, Mahalia Jackson, they allowed Dr. King to travel all over and to do what he did, and the whole civil rights movement and everything, and supported. As a matter of fact, so Harry Belafonte got together with Frank Sinatra, Lena Horne. Let me see. It was Marlon Brando and Henry Fonda, and they all raised the money to pay for like the Freedom Riders, the Freedom Rides in 1964, where you had the two Jewish brothers and the black guy, Cheney, Swerner, and Goodman. They were murdered. The bus was bombed and firebombed and killed them. Well, those Freedom Riders that came from the north on those buses, somebody had to pay for the buses and for the folks to have money to eat and find some place to stay. Well, that was Harry Belafonte was behind that. He was the one that engineered that and got, like I said, all his celebrity friends to donate money. So and donate. So many protesters and civil rights leaders that was getting locked up just for protesting in the South. So rest in peace, power in paradise to Harry Belafonte. Thank you for letting me be a part of your life. As always, God bless each and every one of you. You, and especially you and God, most of all. Thank you for letting me do the Geno Jones Show. I come to you live Monday through Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 5:30 p.m. in Chicago, 3:30 p.m. out on the West Coast, unless I tell you otherwise. We do have, on occasion, we have different start times. I got a different start time coming up in about a week, maybe next week. We'll tell you more about that later. All right. Shout out to Mr. Markel Bailey, the official barber and hairstylist of the Geno Jones Show. And happy birthday to Markel Bailey. Y'all know Markel, CEO of Designer Cuts out there in Goose Creek, South Carolina, part of the Charleston, South Carolina Metro. Happy birthday, King, fellow Taurus. So you can check Markel Bailey out on Instagram. The head of, like I said, CEO of Designer Cuts, Kel be cutting up. That's KELBECUTTINUP. Allie Jones is the drip director. That means she's the official wardrobe consultant and stylist for the Geno Jones Show. Check Allie Jones out on Instagram. Kel, she is LX.NCL underscores that little dash below. So that's LX.NCL underscore. And also shout out to Bruce Gage. He's also a wardrobe consultant and stylist for the Geno Jones Show. You can check Bruce Gage out, the Mario Uomo collection. Also, he's got collections of some of the top designers, new iconic designers from Italy, from Germany, from France, and the Flyball collection, which is the officially licensed Negro League baseball gear line. This line is officially licensed by the Negro Baseball League. They got some really, the drip is really spectacular. So you can check it all out. Bruce Gage is Miglio di Mario Uomo, MIGILIODIMARIOUOMO. That's MIGILIODIMARIOUOMO. The next live edition of the Geno Jones Show is going to be tomorrow or later today. If you're not watching me live, you know it could be Wednesday morning and you're watching me now. Anyway, Wednesday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. And until then, as always, be blessed. Pray for peace. And thanks for watching. Bill Maher, holla at your boy. We're going to talk about this thing. You want to know about this why black folks are killing black folks? I want to know why white folks are killing white folks and black folks. Angry old white dudes killing black and white teenage boys and girls? Holla at me.
Subscribe and tune in to the next episode of the Geno Jones Show, exclusively right here on YouTube.